Today I'm going to talk about why young children rotate the page when drawing grass or the sky. You surely will have noticed how young children, when colouring in, will often change the angle of the colouring in page. So they colour and then whoops, they turn, whoops, they turn. They do this very fast and adeptly. I'm always impressed. But why do they do it? Well, the answer is quite simple, because it is the sensible thing to do. Okay, here you're going to see me drawing lines across the bottom of the page to represent grass. So that's it there. We usually draw short little lines. That's it. But this is an awkward movement. I can't see where I'm going. I don't have a lot of control over it. But if I turn the page, I can draw short movements. So that's easier to draw short movements. It's just a forward and backward movement of the elbow with the wrist held steady. If, however, I turn the page at 45 degrees, notice the movement is much easier. It's a small rotation movement at the shoulder and a bit of extension and flexion at the elbow. And I can see where I'm going. I've got much more control over what I'm doing. Okay, so let's look at the movements young children with good graphomotor skills use for colouring in. For long lines, they will use a combination of shoulder and elbow movements, with the marker held steady by the fingers and the wrist in neutral, extended. Okay, so then they can easily draw lines in any direction. But some lines are less easy than others. Going backwards and forwards here is not an easy movement to do. So what do? Change, rotate, and now they can go up and down easily. So from here, going that way is not, I can't see where I'm going, and it's not easy. So I think I'm going to change back to that position, and I can now. So what I've done here by rotating the page is simply chosen easier combinations of movements and ones where I could see where I was drawing the lines. Now for colouring in small areas, however, children with good graphomotor skills usually use a wrist movement. The thumb and the fingers hold the pen marker steady, and the movements of the pen on the paper are done by flexing and extending the wrist. But notice that they bring the wrist back to a neutral position, and then back, and then back to neutral position, and then back. So it's that movement. So I'll do it in that direction. You see that? So let's have a look what happens when I fill in some boxes. So here I've got a small box, and I'm going to draw very simple backwards and forwards movements. I can see where I'm going, and that's easy. But now say I want to, for some reason or other, draw movement lines across the box that way. I still can use backwards and forwards movements of the wrist, but it's uncomfortable. However, if I turn my page and realign my wrist, there we go. Now children with poor graphomotor skills will often hold their wrist in flexion, and then the movement occurs here, which is awkward and uncomfortable. Now this movement is brought about by the long flexors in the forearm, and when you bring the wrist completely forward, these muscles are fully shortened. Now this is their weakest position, and also a position where they get very tired very quickly. So the muscles are shortened, tire quickly, and children will often complain that writing or drawing is boring, and you ask them, where's the boring? And they'll tell you it's either there, sometimes in the shoulder, but more often than not, it's in the forearm. And that's because they're using these muscles in their inner range, and that is the weakest range, and where the muscles tire easily.